Back with the Big Blue Report with Jonathan Casillas, Ryan Darlington. This week, we talk everything from Saquon to free agency, draft preview. Is Daniel going to be here? All this on a new episode of the Big Blue Report starting now. All right, welcome to another edition of the Big Blue Report. My name is Randy Zellea from Back Sports Page, and with me, as always, the two-time Super Bowl champion, former defensive captain of the New York Football Giants, Giants legend, food truck owner, and there's so much more we can probably introduce him with, but that man is Jonathan Casillas right there, as well as the professor of football, the man, myth, the legend himself, Ryan Darlington. Gentlemen, we are back. Better than ever, and it was a really boring, slow week.
Yeah, nothing happened.
Nothing exciting happened. Nothing happened.
You
they want to talk about Super Bowl hangover. I think everybody headed out to Australia to go see Taylor and Travis. That's what I think happened this past week.
Swifties abound.
Swifties are abound. The Kansas City Swifties. Look, guys, there's nowhere else to start but with a conversation that we had over our last couple shows. Look, Saquon Barkley made a decision. And
yeah, you're dead to me.
I'm sorry. They're running.
Ryan got that. Ryan got it.
Yeah. Oh, it was right on the money. As Tiki Barber would say, you're dead to me.
That's right.
Gosh.
Tiki, well, listen, Tiki just went there, dude. He was
He did.
Yeah, but listen, Saquon Barkley made a tough decision, and I think he made the only decision he could. Not about going to the Eagles, but departing from the Giants. I think the shock value was the Eagles, but Joe Schoen and the New York Giants management pretty much laid it out for him that we want you to go to free agency. We want you to see what you're going to be offered and then come back to us. And I think Joe Schoen, Ryan and I were speaking earlier today, with the system that Dable and company have, I get it. Barkley's a once-in-a-lifetime generational talent as far as being a great running back. But they're bringing in the same guy that Dable had success with out in Buffalo, in Singletary. We'll get to that in a little bit. But I think maybe the pressure of, having that big presence behind Daniel, I don't know if that was, looking back at it now, as a plus or minus. JC, your reaction to Saquon flying with the birds and what the gap and the hole he leaves means for the New York Giants.
Well, there was definitely that shock factor there because it was the team down 95. But then I saw the numbers and I was like, good for him.
Yeah. Yep.
Bro, he got 3-year, $38 million, almost $38 million deal with $26 million guaranteed. And the last time I talked on BBKO, which is the Giants podcast, I said it'd be a mistake if they allow him to leave, not enter free agency. I figured he would get an offer, 3 years, $20 million, something like that, $25 million with like $16, $17 million guaranteed, something like that. Giants should match that. The Giants, they're not going to match that number from the Eagles. No way. It's great for Saquon. I think it's great for the running back market because the running back market has been down. Yeah. And honestly, I thought that contract that he got, I didn't even think that was possible. With the running backs. So, he was looking for somebody that value him, and it sucks, but the Giants just didn't value him.
Yep.
Like they did. Right, they did, but clearly not as other teams, especially the team down 95 in the Birds. So it sucks. It really sucks because it's the Eagles. Like, because if he would have left for that number with a team like Houston, I think that was a team that people were projecting him possibly going to. Then it's like, okay, he's out the division. They paid him a lot of money, which the Giants aren't going to pay, a guy that plays that position that much money. So good riddance, not good riddance because I still love Saquon. He's a friend of mine, but like he's out of division, like he's in the division.
Yeah.
And this is my thing. It's going to be week 18. The Giants' playoff hopes are going to be alive, and they're going to be at the Link or wherever that place is now that they're playing in Philly. And Saquon's going to rush for like 250. Like, oh man. So for me, it's bittersweet because of course it sucks that I'm a representative of the Giants. I'm a fan of the Giants. But then I'm also a friend of Saquon, and I'm a friend of players, and I'm an advocate of players that, they should and they need to get paid, and he got his bag. It sucks that it's with them, but I'm happy that he got his bag. It's just, I hope he doesn't do well against the Giants, which I know he will.
So he's not dead to you. He's not dead to you.
No, Tiki been on that crazy stuff for a long time. You know what I mean? And I don't even think it's like to get views or anything. He's just like that. You know what I mean? Like he's just like that. He just says kind of what he wants. But I'll let you talk, Ryan. I just gotta. One thing that I listened to Tiki. It possibly was yesterday, the day after he said those comments, and he's like, "Oh, that's just basically like the fan in me. Like I'm not a player anymore. Like I'm a fan now, blah, blah, blah." And it's like, you're not. You're Tiki Barber.
Right.
Like you can't say I'm a fan. I'm a casual fan. You're not. Like your words hold a different amount of degree. Like it's different coming from you than it is than anybody else that never played football. And on top of that, you were a good player for a good amount of time. And you have a twin brother. Right. And you have a twin brother that played like 50 years. Mm-hmm. Like you're a name that people will recognize forever and ever. And you have a particular name. There's never been a Tiki Barber in the NFL. You know what I mean? Like it just, I feel like it's like, bro, like that. I don't think that was a good comment for him because it's like now you destroy that relationship between you and Saquon. And Saquon, if a fan says that to him, he's like, oh, it's a fan. But like Tiki Barber, you're not a fan.
Tiki's got a microphone.
Player.
Yeah.
You might feel like a fan now for what you're doing, but you're a former player, bro. And I feel like former players, they gotta watch what they say about the current players. I think number one, because he's an affiliate, I think, with the Giants. Number two, like that relationship, he's dead to you, it's dead for sure. Like Saquon's not rocking with you, bro.
Yeah.
And really quick, not only that, but I don't even want to hear the excuse that I didn't know that the microphone was on. I don't want to hear that.
Yeah, it's the hot mic.
No.
I mean, Randy, you said at the beginning, it was probably a difficult decision for Saquon. And quite frankly, I don't know that it was. I don't know that it was a super hard decision.
When it comes to money, no.
Well, when you
$26 million guaranteed for a running back right now, if I would have told you that before Saquon did that, you would have said nobody's getting that. Nobody's getting that.
And maybe that's the gamble that Shane was going on, because if you look at the two markets that are depressed right now in the NFL, it's running backs and safeties. So let them test the market, thinking that maybe it was going to be like it was last year, and the most he was going to get was maybe $6 or $7 million a year, right? Something like that. I don't know that the Giants fully were prepared for a over-the-top $38 million contract. But once that piece of paper came in front of them, once that number came in front of them, I'm like, we're not going to do that. Come on. No way. I mean, if we wouldn't pay you 20, we're not going to pay you 38, right? Because, I mean, if you think about it, at the end of the day, he's still the same player that he was. He's still the same injury risk that he was. And one of the things that made him great was the fact that he was a bunch of different backs in one, right? He was a short yardage back, but he had the speed and he had the quicks and he was able to break tackles and do all of these crazy things in one. But that also means that he's on the field a lot. And he's taken a lot of hits, and there's a lot of wear on those tires, you know. And I'm not saying he can't make it through the next 3 years unharmed. I hope he does make it through the next 3 years unharmed. But in no way, shape, or form were the Giants even going to come close to that, and I think he knew it.
Yeah. And not only that, too, but Josh Jacobs also got a big contract.
Yeah.
Well.
Yeah.
So it's just not Saquon getting a big number, it's with Josh Jacobs as well.
And honestly, I don't know that
Jacobs get.
I think Jacobs got somewhere around that same number that Saquon got.
Could be. Yeah, I don't know exactly, right? But yeah, he signed with Green Bay. But you know, the other thing that had happened that didn't happen last year was that everybody got handed $30 million, right? I mean, the cap went up, and so there was a lot more money to play with. And you know, we knew. I think all of us kind of knew that we weren't going to spend big on Saquon. If we weren't willing to do it last year, why are we going to do it this year when he's got another year on the treads? So, you know, he goes, he gets his bag, he goes and plays. I don't like the fact that he's going to be running up and down on us twice a year for the next 3 years. But I also know that we've got somebody that may have something to say about him running all over us in the name of Brian Burns. I know he's not the greatest run stopper, but we got ourselves a pretty solid defensive front going, fellas, and I'm pretty excited about that as well.
And by the way, in the business, we call that a great segue. Just so you know, that trade came out of nowhere too. You know, that it was one of those things that was sort of whispered about an hour before it happened that they were exploring different trades. Great pickup, JC. He met with the media yesterday. Brian Burns did, and just he said the initial shock of the trade was over. And he says he's looking forward to really getting the business, playing with Kayvon, playing with Dexter Lawrence, and being part of that defense. With all the moves that happened on the defensive side of the ball so far in the offseason, JC, the loss of Xavier McKinney, which we will get into in a few minutes. We want to talk about a guy who got a bag. McKinney got a bag.
Yeah, he
but
sure did.
Your reaction to the Burns trade and what that looks like on the field now.
Well, you add an extra dynamic pass rusher to a team that doesn't really have multiple pass rushers, right? Kayvon Thibodeau, we all know that he had a great year this past year, Pro Bowl caliber type of year. I know he didn't get voted in, but I feel like it was Pro Bowl worthy the year he had on a team that was very inconsistent this year, but their defense was the kind of the mainstay that was always kind of keeping them in the games, led by Dexter Lawrence. So now you have a dominant force in the middle. You have two really gifted pass rushers on the outside. I like Azeez Ojulari still coming in on pass rushing situations. And then also you have some capital to put other pieces in behind them. You know, maybe they'll invest in another linebacker off the ball. Maybe they'll get another safety, maybe a veteran safety, because now you have Jason Pinnock, and then you have Dane Belton, who is really good, but he's young. Well, he shows a lot of promise, but he's young. Every time he gets in the game, he always makes plays, but he's young. Xavier McKinney's a proven guy. He's played in a league in a while, and I don't know where the leadership comes in that room. You know what I'm saying? So maybe they might look at one of the older safeties that's on the market. Bring him in to kind of help in terms of not just playing right away and contributing to Bowen's scheme, but also the leadership factor that leaves when Xavier McKinney leaves, and then also when Saquon Barkley leaves, and then possibly get a corner. I think where it's going right now, that first round pick, I think you could possibly say receiver or cornerback for that first pick for the Giants.
Brian, did you want to jump in on this?
In the business, that's what we call a segue. No, I think, absolutely. I'm going to put this the right way. We did a lot to shore up a lot of our areas of need, but there are a couple of additional areas of need where I feel like we actually need veteran presence. And so, JC, to your point, cornerback is one. and safety is the other, because we have actually, was it the second youngest defense in the league?
Second youngest team.
In the league. So, I mean, you're talking about a bunch of first, second, and maybe a couple third-year guys. I mean, there's not a whole lot of veteran leadership on that team, with the exception of Mills, who we just brought in. But I don't know that we brought him in as starting caliber leadership. I think we may have brought him in as a stopgap to fill in a number of holes if we need additional bodies. But, I mean, at the end of the day, I don't know that you brought him in to be the leader of your secondary. And I still think we need the leader of our secondary. And I don't think, quite frankly, I don't think you find that in the draft. You know, one of the things that we have said last year is that when you are a rookie in this league, without fail, you get baptized, right? You come into the league, you get punched in the mouth, and you get shown what's what. And I don't know that we have enough time to get another young guy to develop fast enough for him to be that functional leader that we need right now. Right, we've got a couple of guys. We've got some promising corners, right? Tay Banks is good. Cordell Flott, if he can stay healthy, is good in the slot. You know, we've got a number of guys. Even if you want to talk about Javarius Owens, is a guy that they're pretty high on. So we got McLeod. I love the McLeod signing, but I think we need some stability. I think we need some veteran stability. And so as unaffected as I will be if and when Adoree Jackson goes the way of the wayside, I think we do need to have somebody in. Because, look, I don't think Adoree was I don't think he played as well as any of us really hoped he would last year. And I'm going to say it that way. But, you know, if we can plug those two holes, I'll feel a lot better about the defense, because, guys, our inside linebacker core is looking pretty good. Our front four are looking pretty good. Right, we've got some promising young talent on the outside in the backfield. We've got some promising young safeties, but we just need a couple of pieces to put it all together.
Yeah, I was looking for Jordan Poyer.
To
see where he was at, but he signed with the Dolphins. For $2 million, bro. Yeah, that's the guy who is, you know, Dayball was with him over in Buffalo. That's a guy who could have came in, had an immediate impact on the field and in the locker room. But I don't know who else is out there right now.
So that's the thing. I mean, at this point, it's not going to be free agency. At this point, it'd be trades, right?
Trades or the draft.
There's no more.
Like I said, you can't get them in the draft.
Safeties? Byard? Who else is out there free agency-wise, safety-wise?
Yeah, I don't know. I'd have to take another look. But when I looked at the last time I looked, the folks that I saw, they weren't really lighting me up. Right. And I'll take it. Maybe it's worth another look to see. And maybe I should give these other guys more of a fair shake. But, you know, at the end of the day, I think getting somebody like that. So I think what that means for me, if we're not going to be drafting those folks, then maybe we talk about a receiver at the number 6 pick. And I wouldn't mind seeing Adunze at all. But anyway, that's a different topic. We're talking free agency and trades right now.
And not only that, too, you also have to don't forget that we signed a veteran backup quarterback in Drew Luck as well during the week. Interesting pickup. It makes me really scratch my head about what they're really going to be doing at the quarterback position.
I have an idea.
I have ideas too. I told you my ideas earlier, and I got yelled at.
Yes, you did, because you're. Listen. Tell us all. I'll yell at you again. That's okay.
I'm afraid to. I think JC's going to start yelling at me too. But you have the number 6 pick, and I think when there's that old phrase, and I heard it when Gettleman was here when they drafted Daniel, that if you want a guy, you go up and get him. That's just the way it is. When you want a particular player, and that's just not for football, that's for any sport. If there's a player on the draft board that you want, and you really want him, you're going to go up and get him, no matter what the situation is. From what I had been hearing, all the people I've been talking to, up until maybe the last 24 hours, everything has been pointing quarterback for the Giants in the first round, including the idea of possibly moving up. And now with Drew, so with everything that's been going on, I feel there's a little piece of me that's saying maybe they're not going to go quarterback.
You mean with number 6?
With number 6, or with the draft moving up, whether they're going to move up or whatever. Look, it's like again, you're still hitching that wagon to a guy who's had a bad neck and is just recovering from surgery.
Sure. But that's why you got Drew Lock, right? I mean,
No,
he hasn't had.
the only reason they got Drew Luck is so if Daniel Jones is not healthy week one.
That's what I'm saying. I mean, he's your insurance policy. He's a 1-year guy, right? And so he comes in as a stopgap, but you still need the heir apparent. You still need the guy to cover you, right? I mean, at the end of the day, you need to still have somebody. And next year's quarterback class is not looking all that great. So at the end, when you're talking about how you're going to set your franchise up for success, you're going to get a guy in the draft that can hold the clipboard for the year, still be on the 53, right? I think Tommy Cutlets, I'm afraid, is either out or on the practice squad. And you're going to have Daniel, if he's healthy, he starts with Drew Lock backing him up, and whoever we draft, hopefully, in waiting in the wings, holding the clipboard, right? If Drew Lock has to start, then we've got our heir apparent, maybe potentially getting reps if Drew Lock goes down, right? But at the any way you slice it, you are drafting a guy that you like. You are developing that guy over the course of the year, knowing that he is not going to be the guy that's got the pressure to play, right? You're pulling an Aaron Rodgers, you're pulling a Jordan Love, you're pulling these kinds of situations where you actually give a developmental guy the clipboard and develop him. Actually take the time and the ability and the effort that it takes to actually develop him into the person that you want him to be, the player that you want him to be. And I have an idea about who that's going to be, but go ahead. We'll talk about draft later.
I'm with Brandy. I don't know if the Giants stay away from quarterback in the draft. I just don't know if they'll be willing to move up to get one of those.
I don't think they should.
Guys.
I don't think they should.
But I see something like this happening. First, number 6 pick overall. They get their playmaker on the outside. I know there's like 3 or 4 good receivers that are possibly still be there. When the Giants pick at number 6, and then possibly, hear me out, sliding into the back of the first round.
That's what I think they're going to do too.
And getting that Washington quarterback.
Yes, that's right. It's exactly what I was saying.
Yeah, yes. Because Baltimore, like all of those teams that finish, the season later in the season that has, that had good seasons this past year that's picking later. If that kid's still around, those teams don't need quarterbacks.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So he's probably going to fall to the second round anyway.
Yep.
But you might want to slide up and grab that kid, because one of the early teams that needs a quarterback might draft a defensive end or pass rusher in the first round. So you don't want to try to, get him on the second time around.
Right.
I think you slide into the back of and now you have your young quarterback for the future.
Yes, especially because we traded away pick 37. Now all we've got is kind of mid-round 49. So you package that up with a couple other picks, and you want to talk about going to get your guy. That's where you do it. You do it at the end of the first round, pick up Penix. JC, it's like you're in my brain, man. This is exactly what I'm thinking we really need to do, because honestly, he's a pure pocket passer. He's a fantastic player. And the health injuries, the injury history doesn't scare me as much as it does a lot of other folks.
There's one thing I have an argument with you, with Ryan, with what you're saying, and in the theory that you have. If you have a guy who's holding a clipboard, it's going to be the heir apparent so he can take over next year, and you have Daniel playing.
Right.
Remember, you have this contract set up with Daniel where it's guaranteed for 2 years. We are now the second year of that contract. And then you have an option after this season to keep Daniel around or not. But the writing is on the wall. Again, we all said this before. During the season, and I'm sorry for giving like a little backstory to this. At one point during the season, we had Jay Glazer come on TV and discuss the problems between Dable and Wink. And everyone kept on saying, that's not true, that's not true, that's not true, that's not true. The story got leaked out, and we found out later on there was a little bit of issues, but it was blown up by the Wilkinsons, as we discussed in one of our previous podcasts. These stories about the Giants sort of not wanting Daniel or giving up on Daniel, these stories are not coming out of nowhere. Rich Eisen doesn't make stuff up. These things are being leaked out.
Sure. But that's even more reason to have somebody waiting in the wings.
But that's fine. But I also, what does that do to your team when the guy who's supposed to be leading your team at quarterback is sort of I'm trying to figure out the right phrasing. I had the phrasing, but he's like a lame duck quarterback.
He's a lame duck. Yeah,
he's a lame duck quarterback. What does that do for him, and what does that do for the team when you have a guy sitting there saying you're just a placeholder for this year, and then next year we're going to throw the kid out there to see what he can do?
Well, I mean, it's another, but I don't think that's the way you frame it, though. It's another earn it year, right? I mean, the man's under contract, right? He's under. So if he earns that contract, we'll keep him around. If he plays like a $40 million quarterback, I'll keep him around. I'll have the kid hold the clipboard for another year. That's not going to kill him. Aaron Rodgers held the damn thing for 5 years under Brett Favre. So, yeah, okay, play. We want you to play. You're our guy. We invested heavily in you. Play. And if you play like garbage, we've got the guy that's going to replace you. You know that there's an out in your contract. You have to earn it. If you don't earn it, you're out. And I don't think anybody can be pissed off unless you don't give them the chance to earn it.
This is Daniel Jones' last chance, basically.
Yeah.
And his back is against the wall because he's coming off a pretty traumatic injury and an ACL. And coming off a year when he was healthy, he really didn't play that well. And he also hurt his neck as well during the year. So it's not a great situation for Daniel Jones, for the player. The pressure will be on him. All eyes will be on him because everybody's going to, there's not too many hurt quarterbacks coming into the season besides Kirk Cousins, right?
Yeah.
He's solid. He's not worried about nothing. He just got another $100 million fully guaranteed. That dude, bro.
He's set.
Bro, he's made at this day, right now, he's made $250 million.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He'll be all right. Yeah, he'll be all right.
So he's fine. Listen. But Daniel Jones, he's in a very rough spot in terms of his future. Yeah. Because let's say he is healthy. All eyes are going to be on him. There's going to be a heavy microscope. And when the microscope's a little too close and that sun's directly beaming on him, they turn you up, boy.
But listen, I mean, tell me he wasn't in the same position 2 years ago. Tell me, I mean, it was a brand new franchise. It was a brand new coach. It was a brand new GM. He was not their guy. He knew he was coming up. He knew he wasn't going to get extended on his fifth-year deal. He has had the microscope on him, and he actually was able to answer the call at that point. Last year, I mean, I'm not giving the man a free pass, a total pass, but you guys know, I mean, throughout the course of last year, my biggest explanation for Daniel Jones's play was the lack of line help, right? We had the worst.
Andrew Thomas getting hurt week one.
Week one, out for 7 weeks, are the best guy on our line, and it just was a shit show from there, right? So, I mean, you could have put Tom Brady back there, and he wouldn't have had a great year. So, at the end of the day, we know that we've done some things to put him in a position where he's going to be in better shape this year. John Runyon, Illuminor, those are all guys. I don't even know if I pronounced the guy's name right. But at the end of the day, those are the guys that are going to be the reason why he gets a fair shake at his last contract year.
Yeah, but he's still coming off an injury.
Yeah, no, you're right. You're right.
The ACL.
But that's
real quick. Because you mentioned the O-line. I'm sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
He'll play right tackle?
I don't know. I don't think so. I think he's going to be our left guard, but we'll talk about it.
I think also, too, like you just said before, this is the best offensive line we're going to see from the Giants probably since the championship years, because this looks like they're not only bringing in guys like Ryan, like you and I talked about earlier. You're not bringing in the Jeff Schwartz or the Nate Solders who are on the last legs of their career. You're bringing in guys who are in their prime who can play with guys like who are playing with young talent like Evan Neal and Andrew Thomas. So it's going to be a much different look for this offensive line. And Daniel and Singletary are going to have time to do their thing, which is going to be really, really, really nice. The one thing I got to add, though, about Daniel, there was one rumor that had come around the rumor mill is that Minnesota might be interested. But if you make that deal with Minnesota for Daniel, you're picking up part of that salary.
Yes.
So that's where you really have to look at it and say, is it worth moving him? So you can just go with whatever you're going to have.
Because I don't think so. I think we've got our plan. I think we've got our plan. And honestly, I think I don't know that there's anybody that doesn't want Daniel to succeed. I don't think anybody in that building wants him to fail, right? They want to see him succeed. Right? We signed him up big, and there's an out. Sure, we have an out, but I think they do want him to succeed. And so they're putting the pieces together around him so that if he fails, it's not because we didn't try to protect him.
Yeah, I know what you're saying, but I think at the same time, though, we've said this before. Once a new regime comes in, they want to bring their guys. Again, the effort to try to keep Barkley, even though it wasn't their guy. They made the effort, sort of, to try to keep Barkley here, but it wasn't their guy.
Bro, they signed him to a 4-year, $140 million deal.
Because when you're coming off a playoff win and your back is against the wall, they got real creative.
And it's time to get paid.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I'm with you, but listen, they weren't caring that he wasn't he was a Gettleman guy at that point,
I think there was probably some hesitation, but they also knew that the court of public opinion, after you win a playoff game and you say, no, we're not bringing you back.
No.
We're done. And that's why they made a contract with a 2-year out. So it covers their ass.
That's fair. But this is another reason to get a quarterback in the draft, somebody that you can develop that is your guy.
So, but let's go the opposite route. Let's go the opposite route of your thought process here. Let's say they actually decide to move up, and they want it because they're in love. Look, there's 2 names that I know Joe Shane has been in love with, and it's not been a secret. He loves May, and the other one he's just not getting. The other one's going number 1. So
Caleb Williams,
yeah, Caleb Williams is not going to be a Giant. So let's get that.
Right.
Let's go that. They liked him, but May seems to be the kid that was the overall love fest. But the problem is, you look at those top 5 picks before you. They're almost at the Redskins. The Commanders are looking for a QB. The Patriots are looking. The Patriots looking for a QB. We don't know what the Bears are doing. Right. I don't think the Bears know what they're doing. You know what? You have half the organization saying you want to keep Justin Fields. The other half of the organization is they're saying we don't want Justin Fields. So they don't know what they're doing. And then you have a couple. Arizona's not going to take a quarterback because they have Kyler Murray.
Where do you have to trade up to? You have to trade up to 3?
I think you have to trade up to 3.
Okay. So what's it cost you to get from 6 to 3?
I think it's costing you your number 6 pick and probably either a number 1 or at least a number 1, maybe the following year too.
I think it's a first year. It's the number 6 pick this year.
Yep.
It's the number 1 pick next year. It's the first round pick next year, and I think it's the second round pick next year as well.
It might be a little more than that too.
Could be.
How much did San Fran pay for Trey Lance in the draft to move up?
A lot.
3.
So, and this is
draft picks.
And look, how often does that work out? Right? I mean, we're talking about Trey Lance. We're talking about Justin Fields. Right? We're talking about guys that people mortgage their entire franchise on. Russell Wilson. Right? Ricky Williams.
I think I know where JC's going. I know where JC's going to go.
But this is the difference between the Giants and the San Francisco 49ers. The 49ers, I don't know if there's another team that basically sacrificed their future first-round draft picks for like the next 3 or 4 years to get a guy who was a complete bust. Mm-hmm. And then not too long after, end up in the NFC Championship game twice in a row, 1 year make it to the Super Bowl. They are a different team, right? But think about this, right? I think when you think about the Eagles did the same type of play during this offseason like San Fran did a few years ago when they signed Christian McCaffrey. Set at quarterback, set at wide receiver, O-line's really good, tight end's really good. What do you need on offense?
You need a running back.
Dynamic running back, not just a regular running back, a dynamic running back. I think that's what the Eagles did, right? In terms of that, right? What were we saying? What were we talking about before?
Well, I also wanted to add one other point. You said, how much do you want to sacrifice to move up? And like I said earlier in the show,
that's the question.
If you know you want that guy and that's going to be your guy, you go up and get him. I know it's a different time frame that I'm going to say this, but the Giants did that with Eli. They mortgaged the house to get Eli Manning, and it seemed to work.
Yeah, 17 years.
Yeah.
So I mean, I guess the exercise for me is always put up the number of times it works against the number of times that it doesn't work, and just talk about the probabilities. Let's not talk about possibilities. Let's talk about probabilities. Yeah. The probability is you're going to give up way more than you get, right? I mean, we're
the Giants are not. The Giants are not a quarterback away from winning the Super Bowl.
Right. Correct. So, I mean, I think especially given the fact that there are options a little later on in the draft that would be very good, right? That would fit a need, especially with time to develop. I just think you're not in a position right now as an organization to be giving up all of those picks. Draft capital is something that you need right now because we've got some of our major players, but you still need depth. You still need player development. You still need young guys to come up and be the next round of players, even if all they're going to do is be 2s and 3s this year.
Yeah. Look, it's a real tough argument. And obviously the only people who really know right now are Joe Schoen, Brian Dable, and the brain trust of the Giants and what they want to do.
Me. I know.
Well,
hey, I looked up. I was like, "Who said that?"
I was going to say he sounded very angry when he said it, and it was me. I know. Ryan, man, is there something you want to share with us, brother?
Settle down.
Listen. What we know about Joe Schoen, I think we understand. He knows what he's doing.
Yeah,
I think he has a good idea on what he's doing. Last year, the biggest free agent signing was Bobby Okereke.
Yep.
Knocked it out the park.
Yep.
Darren Waller was a big, I think, underachiever last year on a big underachieving offense last year.
And still not sure if he's coming back.
You can't tell me that going into the season last year with Darren Waller that we didn't feel, we won free agency. We won free agency last year, right? Because of Bobby Okereke and Darren Waller. So I expect the guys, Brian Burns, I expect him to work out. I expect the 2 linemen to work out. The Giants, they don't need a star running back.
Yeah, right.
They need a quarterback, a really good quarterback that can play football for an extended period of time. That's not going to be injured, hurt, and be out. They need that guy, and they need better talent around him. They do not need a star running back, and that's what it really came down to.
Yep.
That's why they were allowing Saquon to leave without breaking the bank, because they have to upgrade the entire roster.
Entirety of the
not
roster.
One guy, not one position. You look at the Eagles, right? And I'm bringing them up again because you look at them on offense. They're pretty much loaded on offense, but they needed that dynamic running back because you know who has a dynamic running back? Who has a decent quarterback, but a really good receiver, a really good tight end, a really solid defense? San Francisco 49ers, and they've been in the last 2 NFC championships. So you're not gonna get away from the trend of how you get to success, right? And what we know of, you have to have a good quarterback. And as of right now, the Giants, you take from what Daniel Jones did last year and what this offense was last year, they don't have a good quarterback right now, and they need to get one. And if you think he is the guy, Daniel Jones, then you better put people around him, meaning better O-linemen. You don't have to have a star running back anymore. Just have guys that are going to be healthy and are going to be playmakers for you, and you need a star receiver on the outside. Those are things that they need. They need those things.
Yeah, you're definitely not lying on that one. They do need another receiver, but I don't know if that's what's the top priority. What's the top priority right now? I
think at this point, so we all have different priority lists, right? We all have different things that we ought to fill first. But in order, I think receiver is a very, very big need for us. And I hadn't been of this mindset until relatively recently. It was something that somebody had written that I read in an article the other day about Brian Burns specifically, right? Guys like Kayvon, guys like Burns, guys like Lawrence, they are pass rushers. So they have the most success. We can get the most out of them. They will be the most disruptive when the teams that they're playing against are passing the ball. Now, what needs to happen in order for you to get the teams against you to pass the ball? You got to have the lead. You got to have an offense that's going to be humming, right? You got to be able to put some points on the board, and you need a receiver for that. So in order we can replace Saquon's productivity by committee, right? That seems to be the way the league is going anyway. We've got our first and second round back in Singletary. Don't mind that at all. I think an A.J. Dillon would really help in terms of busting out those tough short line, the short yardage.
I think he signed today.
Did he really?
I think
so. Signed
so.
with somebody today?
Yeah,
hey, me and you on the same page, Ryan. I was thinking like, ooh, A.J. Dillon, bring that guy here.
That'd be nice. But the point is, you got to be able to put points on the board for those guys to do the job that they need to be able to do, right? They're not run stoppers, right? Kayvon is not a run stopper. Burns is not a run stopper, right? I mean, Dexter Lawrence can stop anybody. He can stop a fucking Mack truck. But at the end of the day, he's not. They're not a run-stopping defense, right? We rely on our linebackers for that, and we've got a decent core of those guys. But, I mean, I really think that in order for them to be as successful as we expect them to be, we have to play with the lead.
Yeah. A.J. Dillon re-signed with the Packers.
Yeah. By the way, guys, you're listening to the Big Blue Report with Jonathan Casillas, Ryan Darlington, and myself, Randy Zellea. Guys, before we move forward, I think there's the food truck we have to plug. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yes, we have Food Expressions. We got Caribbean food. Not yet, but we will be probably, I would say, beginning of summer, end of spring. We're trying to figure out exactly when we're coming back, but we'll be back definitely by the summertime because we'll have it at my camp, which is June 8th, the Fort Progress camp.
Hey,
there we go. It felt like last year was like a week ago. That's how quickly the year is going. Are you guys ready? Go ahead. Sorry, Jesse, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say time is flying. Like I felt like we were just in COVID, but COVID was 4 years ago. You know that? That's crazy to say out loud, doesn't it?
Yeah, it is crazy when you think about it.
Yeah.
Are you 4 years ago? It started. It's crazy.
Are you guys ready for this week's trivia question?
I'm nervous because you've been getting us.
Yeah, man. We're tied though, brother. We're 2-2, I think. All right, he's ready to go. All right, let's do it.
Well, I'm feeling very 90s this week, so we're gonna go with a question from the 90s New York Giants.
90s.
Ready?
Oh boy,
Here comes the edge. Here comes the question on the board. Here it is. Boom. Which quarterback took the New York Giants to the playoffs in 1997? Here are your choices. Is it A, Dave Brown? Is it B, Danny Cannell? Is it C, Kent Graham? Or D, Kerry Collins? I'll read the choices one more time.
Yep.
A, Dave Brown. B, Danny Cannell. C, Kent Graham. Or D, Kerry Collins?
I have my answer, but I don't.
Bad that I only know one of the quarterbacks.
What's funny, I aged myself out because I remember all this stuff like it's yesterday.
Well, you know what? I'm going to propose something to you, and tell me what you think about it. I think you and I should talk this out, and we should give an answer together and see if we are collectively right with what we're talking about.
You talking about me and you? Because I only got Kerry Collins. I don't know the other guy.
Dude, I started watching in 2001. I don't know any of those guys either.
I don't know the other guys. So
I'm trying to weasel my way out of not knowing a bunch of shit that I'm supposed to know about the Giants. So you want to help me out?
We're still tied. We're both going to get the wrong answer. Unless you're just going to go.
Yeah. So listen, I was thinking Kerry Collins, but I don't know that he was the quarterback in 97. Right?
Me neither.
So I think Danny Cannell was the quarterback before him, but I don't think he made the playoffs. I'm thinking it's Brown. That's my guess.
JC, you want to take a shot? Are you going to stick with Kerry Collins?
I'm Kerry Collins, dog.
So want to hear the amazing part is, JC, I'm sorry, JC, you're wrong. But Brian, you follow your gut feeling because the answer is Danny Cannell.
No, that's what I said. We're gonna run
I don't think he went to the playoffs.
No, we're gonna edit that whole thing. I got the answer right. We got.
Well, because because we haven't done this in a while, I have a bonus question ready for us.
Oh, nice.
Okay. Which two receivers led the Giants in catches in 2011?
2011.
Ready? I'm going to give you some choices here. And I'm not gonna lie to you. The way they phrased this was absolutely terrible. Is it A, Victor Cruz and Hakeem Nicks?
Mm-hmm.
B, Victor Cruz and Jake Ballard? 3, Hakeem Nicks and Jake Ballard. Those are the 3 choices. Because the 4th choice they gave was so stupid. I'm not even reading it.
So I guess it's not that one. So
it's definitely not the last one.
It was Cruz and Ballard.
Is it Cruz and Nicks, Cruz and Ballard, or Nicks and Ballard?
Cruz and Nicks. That's my guess.
I'm going Cruz and Ballard.
I have to give this one to Ryan because Ryan just nailed it right.
How about it? I'm going to AC.
Don't tell my boy Knicks either, please.
Listen, I'm not gonna lie to you. After that team won the Super Bowl the second time against the Patriots, we sat there all through the 2012 season waiting for that man to catch a touchdown, and he did not catch one. And then he came back to the Giants. We all kept on saying when he came back in 2015 to help fill in the gap a little bit, we're like, oh, at least he'll get his last touchdown as a Giant, and he never got one. I felt so bad for him. You know, but he's a nice guy, dude. He was always good to us from a media standpoint.
Hakeem, my guy. Yeah,
he was something else. Huge hands. I just caught that with the hand gesture. Yeah. So guys, when we with the draft about a month away, and obviously with all the free agent moves that are going on, we mentioned Darren Waller before. The story broke that he was actually considering retirement, and got to ask both of you guys about that because that's still on the table. He says he hasn't made a final decision yet. He was pretty banged up last year from the get-go, missing the opening weeks of the season. What do you guys think? Is this going to be a lingering thing? We have to keep second guessing whether he's going to quit during the season or not. He just seems like he's a guy who seems like he's also a little burnt out, not only just injured.
Yeah.
JC, you want to take a stab? I got my thoughts, but go ahead.
That's rough, man, because once you start considering retiring, you're probably going to retire unless, like Kelsey, he was different. He's on a team that, like, are consistently winning, like, all the time, and even though Darren Waller only spent 1 year with the Giants, he's used to losing, and when you get used to losing, and you call it, I feel like you're done. You don't come back.
Yeah.
You don't come back if you feel like
fire.
You know what I mean? Like, for me, from what I've seen, my experience just being around the league and kind of paying attention, like guys that like are on not so great teams historically in terms of their history, the players' history, not historically for the Giants, of course, but like you get tired of being beat up. You get tired of losing. You get tired of all the criticism. Retirement cures all of that. It cures all of that, and I don't know. I hope he stays because I feel like he still has at least one more good year underneath him if he can stay healthy, because he is a dynamic player at that position.
Right, go ahead.
My take is a little more pessimistic. I actually think he's a post-June 1st cut. Because if he's not in, either he makes the decision or we have to make it for him. He's hurt. He's perennially hurt. He came in, he wasn't quite the same. He's now talking about potentially retiring. To your point, he's not in. And quite frankly, a team without Darren Waller doesn't scare me. The fact of him not being around doesn't scare me all that much. I really, really like Bellinger's development. I loved what I saw his rookie season. I think he took a step back last year because everybody took a step back last year, but he's a dynamic player. He can block, he can catch. He is a guy. You saw what he looked like at the beginning of camp. The dude is a monster.
Huge.
So huge. So listen, I don't mind him. I don't mind getting another tight end in the draft. I don't mind him being our star guy. We did re-sign Lawrence Cager, right? So we have him as another pass catcher if we need it. So honestly, we're gonna save quite a bit of money if we do that post-June cut. So
and they also signed another. They also signed another tight end today as well.
Okay, so there. Oh, that's right. I did. I read about that guy as well. So look, we're beefing up our. We can take a late round tight end and see how they develop. I mean, we're beefing up our tight ends room. It'll give us some options and see what it looks like. But I mean, we'd be paying a lot of money for a guy who's injury prone and has said from his own mouth that he doesn't quite have it in him, right? That he's not super bought into the season.
Yeah, and like JC just said, as soon as in your brain you're considering retirement, it already sounds like like coming out and saying, "I want to wait to see what the quarterback situation is going to look like." That's not a good sign.
That's what he said.
Yeah, he came out and said that a couple weeks ago. He said, "I was thinking about retirement, but I got to see what this quarterback situation is going to look like." As soon as you start saying things like that, I don't want him on the field.
Right. See, but that goes to what I was saying earlier. If he was in a good situation with a quarterback that he knows is going to throw him the ball, 80 times during the year, and he's going to catch, 57 passes for 900 yards and score 7 touchdowns, like he'll sign up for that all day.
Yeah, sure. But anybody would. Are you going to tell me you're not going to give us full effort if you don't have that guy?
No. It's the retiring thing. It's the retirement. Not that he's not going to give effort. He will. But it's like, do I even sign up for that again?
Yeah. I hear you. Yep.
Well, but you tell me how many guys are going to sign up for 40-0 on opening day.
Can we not talk about that anymore? Jesus Christ!
Bro, I try to block that from my memory. Bro. Oh my God! Wow. You remember how bad that was? Like, bro, first off, it's week 1, Sunday Night Football.
Yeah.
First of all, everybody that watches football watches it that weekend. You might be busy the next week. You might be busy for the first round of playoffs because you got to work. You're not missing week 1, fam. You're watching Thursday's game. You're watching 2 games on Sunday and both games on Monday night. And Sunday night, everybody was watching it, just kind of winding down a little bit. It was a great day of football to start the season.
Yep. It was supposed to be a fantastic game. This was the marquee game.
The
2
first
teams that are so evenly matched, right?
It was
the first. Dude, the first drive, it started off great. The first drive, they had a couple first downs, and as soon as the kick got blocked, the season ended.
Was it?
Season over.
You know what? You're laughing, fellas, but that's the truth of it.
But hey, think about the other team that played at MetLife. 4 plays into the season. Boom. Aaron Rodgers out.
You think about
over. Season's over.
You think about the millions of dollars they put into advertising Aaron Rodgers all around here, and you're like 4 plays in, he's out for the year. You're just like, oh my God.
Yeah. Not 4 series, right? Not 4 games.
4 plays.
4 plays.
Yeah.
By the way, just to follow up, the Giants signed former Eagles tight end Jack Stoll.
Okay. So look, I mean, I don't know that a Wallerless team scares them either, right? He got hurt and he wasn't the weapon that we thought he was, or that we were hoping he was going to be. Whether it's not, I mean, it's not all on him. I'll be the first to say it's not all on him, but he couldn't stay away from the injury bug either.
No, you could say he wasn't the weapon that we thought he was going to be, but neither was Wan'Dale Robinson.
Well, I don't know about that.
His flashes were a lot better than Waller's flashes.
I know, but you look at that receiver room.
And he's young.
Yeah. I'm saying you look at all the guys in the receiving room, they all thought they were going to have a little bit better season than they had.
Sure,
but they didn't know they didn't know who was throwing the ball to them week by week. They didn't know if Tyrod was going to be out there. They didn't know if Tommy DeVito was going to throw.
Paris Campbell, for me, was probably my biggest disappointment for offensive output this past year.
Yeah,
I agree with that.
Jalen Hyatt, I mean, he got 5 targets the entire season.
Not much, but he made the most out of them when he did.
He definitely did. He was a great deep ball threat. But, I mean, how many targets did he really have? I mean, he had 20 catches on the year, maybe, if that.
But it was like what did he get? Like a 13 or 14 yard per catch, right? I mean, his average
was more than that. I think it was like 17.
More like 17 or 18.
Yeah, let me look.
Any way you slice it, man, that's a win for a guy that was a rookie, right? I mean, if you're gonna have stats as a very young guy,
bro,
I love those
he had
flashes.
23 catches, bro.
Listen, that's terrible.
but you have to remember the hype.
16 average.
16.
But you have to look at the hype that we gave him going into the season from what we saw at camp, because he was so quick. We were talking about him running faster than some trucks down 23. So, that's just the simple fact.
He used that speed. Hyatt used that speed, and that's why he was able to have some success. If we give some time to a guy that can get the ball deep, right? Especially if we add an Adunze or a Neighbors or somebody like that. Harrison's not going to fall that far, but especially if we add one of those guys and we've got somebody else on the outside, I'm not mad at that receiving room, guys. We've got good, fast players that have ability in the slot, outside. That's a receiving room that I don't mind as much.
I think Harrison's going to end up in Arizona. That's going to be
I would
because
say so.
Because Arizona is just, I can't see after everything that they went through them giving up on Kyler Murray. I just can't see it. I think if they would have given up on Kyler Murray, they probably would have done it about a week and a half ago.
Yeah, they would have done it by now. For sure.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah. So you're looking at that. So you're looking at, we just don't know what Chicago's doing.
Mm-hmm.
The worst thing they could have done was come out and say, hey, we're going to trade Justin Fields, because now nobody wants to trade for Justin Fields. Then New England is going for a quarterback. Washington's going for a quarterback.
Yep.
Arizona's going to go for a receiver. So you're already looking at 4 teams right there. And I'm just trying to, and for the life of me, just trying to remember who the 5th team was.
The Jets? You talking about in front of us?
No.
Yeah. In front
the
of
Jets
us.
are the Jets in front of us? Are they?
No, the Jets are behind us. No, they're
right behind us.
I think they're behind us. Yeah.
Patriots.
I should know this, but I don't.
Yeah.
So I'm going to look it up.
Yeah. I know. I know Chicago's 1, and I think New England is 2, then Washington 3. I think that's the order. Don't quote me on it.
Who can get to it first?
Chargers.
The Chargers.
So they're definitely not looking for a quarterback.
Yeah. So you're looking at 4 out of the 6 for top 6 picks, including the Giants in that, have an opportunity for a quarterback. So, don't be surprised if the Chargers try to reach up and get Marvin Harrison Jr., because that would be great for Herbert. So you never know. Like, that's what I'm saying. It might have to be trading up to go to number 1. It could be trading up to go to number 4, number 3 for you to get what you need.
Yeah, you would have to jump. You would have to jump the Patriots.
Yeah, and the Patriots are going quarterback no matter what. You're trading Mac Jones to Jacksonville. It pretty much says that you need a quarterback. They don't think they even signed a veteran backup yet. So they're behind the 8 ball.
Which one of those teams besides Chicago who would have did it already if they would have did it is willing to trade back?
Trade out. Yeah. Right.
Who are they going to get? They need quarterbacks, so they're going to get
the guy that we want. Yeah.
Right. So I don't see the Giants moving. I don't. Not up. But I do see them possibly moving back.
I do too. I mean, look, if they can trade with somebody that's close and pick up another second round, right? We get a Dunze with or Neighbors or whoever's left, right? We get that receiver with that pick, and then we pick up the early second rounder, right? And we use that to kind of package into a deal and trade back into the first round, grab Penix, and then we're all set. We can all fucking go home and be ready for the season.
I love how you already have the plan. He already emailed Joe Shane. He emailed Joe Shane during the show and just was like, listen, this is what we're doing.
Yeah, Joe Shane needs to make one phone call, right? Here's my number, Joe. Give me a ring. We'll have a chat. It's all good. We know what we're doing.
So basically, Carolina, Washington, New England, all 3 are taking quarterbacks, and you can expect the next 2.
Not Carolina.
Arizona.
Chicago.
Chicago's 1, Washington 2, New England 3, Arizona 4, Chargers 5. Chargers and Arizona don't need quarterbacks.
Yeah. So Washington's not trading out. New England's not trading out. We're going to trade into the number 1 pick overall.
Yeah, it's like, I
mean, just give up every pick in the next 3 years, every first and second round pick in the next 3 years.
Can I throw a wild scenario out there? It will not happen. It will not happen. But what happens if you reach out to one of these other teams that are sort of rebuilding, like the Chargers, and say, you always have to say what if, what would it take to make a deal for Herbert?
No. What? No.
I'm just saying. Yeah, listen, you have to say stupid stuff sometimes. And this is
No,
my
you know
moment.
why? Because Herbert is in the same boat potential-wise as Joe Burrow, right? Joe Burrow's proven more, but when you talk about potential and you look at the AFC,
the ceiling
those
is-
guys are like the top. They're higher than Aaron Rodgers. They're higher than all those guys because they're young and they got their whole future in front of them, you know? And like, bro, nobody's gonna The Chargers will be fools. They will be fools to do something like that.
Listen, I've seen some pretty stupid GMs out there. I'm just saying. I've seen some pretty stupid GMs out there, and I've seen some stupid decisions over time. Okay, so
haven't we all?
Yeah. Well, you probably more than most of us.
Well,
I remember a game against the Giants. Were you in the Tampa game? Did you play the Giants when you were in Tampa?
Playing versus the Giants. Not sure.
I'm wondering if this is the game that I'm thinking about because there was a game where the Giants played Tampa and it was a comeback win for the Giants. They came back and it was victory formation time.
And they submarined them.
Yeah. Yes.
Right? That was the year before I got there. That was Shiano's first year.
Yes.
When I got to Tampa, that was his second year. And he didn't last past 2 years.
No.
He was the Rutgers guy, right? He was
He's back at Rutgers. He's right here down the street. Yeah, he's right here.
Yeah, but I just remember that game, and I remember it was like victory. It was time for the victory formation, and all of a sudden they jumped over and tried to get to Eli, and I was like, "What are they doing?" And everyone, you just heard the announcer say, "Oh, that's such bad sportsmanship." And I was
that was the thing with Shiano. He was treating the pro level like it was college.
Right.
Like, bro, like these are grown-ass men, fam, that get paid more money than you. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? That have egos, that have families. Like, you can't bullshit these dudes. You can't sell them a dream. They're straight guys. You know what I mean? 99% of the NFL is like that. You know why? Because you have to be a proven guy to get to the league.
Yep.
There's so many things. There's so many filters that you got to go through to make it to the draft. I didn't even get drafted, guys. You know what I'm saying? Like, I had to prove it still, and I played 9 years. You know what I'm saying? Like, there are guys who were better than me that got drafted higher than I was. There were guys better than me that didn't get drafted. There were guys that didn't play in the league that were better than me. You know, like, you have to be on a high level. And I just feel like some of these coaches, they're not on the highest level. You know what I mean? Like McDaniels. McDaniels has been terrible as a head coach. He keep getting head coaching jobs. And it's like some cats, like that's like saying, right? All right, I played linebacker. I was pretty good at linebacker, right? That's like try me at safety and I get cut off this team, and I play linebacker again and they try me at safety again and I get cut off this team. Maybe I'm not good at playing safety. Right. Like maybe he's just not a good head coach. Some of these head coaches, they're getting these jobs. They're not proven commodities. They're not guys that understand and that can relate to all of these younger guys. I think that's what kind of Bill Belichick is falling into right now. I don't know if he's relatable enough and he has kind of the old school mentality. And I think that's why Sean Payton might continue to struggle. You know what I mean? Like the head coach is very important when you talk about, you know, a team's success, right? I think we have that head coach in place, but there are definitely idiots out there. I just don't think there's nobody dumb enough that's going to give up a guy like Justin Herbert.
No, listen, I agree with you. You have to throw it out there because it was one of the stupid things that I heard this week. So, and by the way, you look back at some of the decision making that McAdoo made. He was one of the people who kept on clamoring that the Giants should have picked up Patrick Mahomes. We saw how that worked out.
Would he have had the same success if we had picked him up?
I'm not sure. I don't think so.
So it's those false equivalencies, you know.
Take Andy Reid's a genius, though.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
It's hell of a coach.
Shermer was here.
So, how about Judge or
right?
How about Joe Judge?
Benny with the good hair.
Yeah. No, Joe Judge lost his job in that 13-minute tirade after the Washington game. when he says this isn't a clown organization instead of insulting the Washington Commanders.
Wow.
You can't. JC, no joke. I sent Ryan the audio and the transcript of Joe Judge. He goes, Ryan looks at me and goes, can he say that? I'm like, he did. This
We'll see what happens.
This is proof that he did. And then he didn't help himself when he did a quarterback sneak at the 3-yard line. So that didn't work so well.
Man.
You're thinking back at it.
On
now.
that note,
40-0. You go from that to 40-0. I'd rather be doing that stuff than that 40-0 stuff that just happened this past
I'm with
year.
you. I'm with you.
Well, if you look back at if you also look back at the second Cowboys game when we got blown out this year, you think about it. I think I'm sorry, I don't remember the score. I just remember sitting there thinking
47-19.
47-19. So we lost 87-19 combined games to the Cowboys.
Yes.
That is awful.
That's
so
awful.
bad.
That is awful.
So bad.
Yep.
So
But it's a new year. Happy New Year, fellas. As of yesterday at 4 p.m., it's a new year.
By the way, happy. Also, Giants fans should be happy that Tony Pollard no longer a Dallas Cowboy.
No longer a Cowboy. Thank you.
He is in a Titans uniform, so he will not haunt us anymore.
17-49. I got my digits switched up. 17-49.
Oh God!
So it's even worse. It's even worse.
89-17. Can we stop talking about this, please? I was actually having a pretty good night.
Leave it alone. Leave it alone.
You guys listen to the Big Blue Report here on the Back Sports Page Podcast Network. Ryan Darlington, Jonathan Casillas, guys, good to it's like putting on a comfortable pair of jeans. It just fits right back on when we all get together. And we should definitely do this next week, continuing to preview the draft. Hopefully, we'll have some more news. Hopefully, we'll have a little bit more of a Daniel update as well.
Mm-hmm.
So, guys, this was fun. I appreciate it. Thank you, guys. This was great. And we will see you. And next week's trivia question, I promise I'll stay out of the 90s. I'll stay in the 2000s and up. I promise.
Deal.
So we'll see you guys next week here on the Big Blue Report.